Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Timsy's Naked Tarot. Don't worry, Timsy's not naked. Okay, I'm not going to say the tarot reads are naked, although this one will be very naked. It's very spur of the moment. It's not spur of the moment. I've been planning on doing this read for a while now, at least the last 4 weeks or so. But I finally got the time to sit down and do it. I've kind of formulated a little bit in my head how I'm going to do this. It's not a read I will often do. In fact, I've never done a read like this before. And I don't think any other tarot reader, especially on YouTube, has done one like this before. I don't expect many views from this because it's just me exercising my right to put whatever I want on my channel. And so let's get to it. I've just wasted a minute of your time. Let's waste some more. I'm doing a read on the harvest season. Okay, yeah. As some of you may or may not know, my current line of work at the moment deals with farmers, the agricultural side of things. So I have a vested interest in how harvests go, obviously, because for most of you, you might think, well, it's just the harvest. You just put in whatever. Well, yeah, it is for the bulk of us in the world, and we go to the supermarkets and then we buy the fruits of that harvest. But it's actually a lot deeper than that. As they're harvesting, especially in England, I don't know about the rest of the world, a lot of the farmers actually now have technology on their tractors and their harvesters to know exactly how much yield they got out of each hectare, acre, patch of land, whatever it may be, field. It also works out how much nutrients and fertilizer needs to be added back into the field for next year's crop. So this year's harvest is starting to dictate how much next year's crop is going to cost, because obviously if you need to put a lot of fertilizer in back into the ground to make it fertile for, I don't know, your next crop of potatoes you're putting in, then that cost automatically gets put onto the estimated tonnage of potatoes you're going to be getting out of that field in a year's time. Actually, it'd be just over a year's time, because very few people have actually started lifting potatoes yet, and the ones what have been, they're new potatoes. So anyway, as I was saying, yeah, I have a vested interest in it. We all should have a vested interest in the harvest. After all, it is the thing what keeps the world going. It's food. Well, one of the major things what allow society to be society, allows us to live. The other one being water, obviously. Because without water, you don't have crops. Without water, we don't have life, basically. So, yeah, we're going to do a little read on the harvest. And again, you might be thinking, well, Simon, you're a bit early for harvest time. Well, again, if you are thinking that, you're probably not in the farming community as much as you thought you were, because there is an early summer harvest, if you will. They plant things like spring barley, winter barley, cereal crops, rape seeds and the like, or rape plants, to make rape oil with. All this stuff starts to get harvested round about mid-July. Okay, the rapeseed is normally the first one, which comes in, and then the grains come in afterwards. And so a lot of the fields around my way, my neck of the woods, have already started to be harvested, and then most of them have all been chopped down. The hay's been turned to bales, or actually the straw's been turned to bales, because hay comes from grass meadows. And yeah, so it's already underway, it's undergoing. So we're going to have a little pull on what the current harvest is like. I'm going to be putting an overall energy out of my rune bag here of the overall harvest for this year. Now, I normally use runes to do like an overall energy on my weekly, monthly reads and things like that. This one is quite poignant because way back when, when runes were more in use and things, the farmers and things would consult the wise rune throwers for their information, for their, if you're a bit of a skeptic, their best guess of what the year's going to bring them. If you're a true believer in the spirit world and everything, they'll be asking the spirits what they can expect from their harvest this year, to know if they need to do extra work on it or not. And so we will pull my overall energy out, and we will dive into that overall energy and see what that is a little bit. So I'll put that there, and then I will get my bag of runes out of the way, hopefully not somewhere where it's going to interfere with my light like it normally does. So I'll put that up there. Okay, so let's just check out what this rune is going to tell us about the overall harvest. I'm clearly pulling on the harvest in my area. Okay, maybe sort of like the east of England, maybe England as a whole. The universe might be happy enough to throw us out a whole generalization of the world harvest. That would be a much deeper and complicated read, I suppose, but it depends what the universe decides it wants to spit out on my table. So obviously, if you're in a different part of the world, let me know about your harvests in the comment section, what sort of things you harvest. Because over here in England, we do a lot of, as I said, seeds, grains, wheats, barley, rape, sunflower. Sort of later on in the year, we'll be putting lots of potatoes, sugar beet, and maize. We do a fair bit of maize over here, which normally goes for animal feed. And so let me know what your stable crops are in your neck of the woods. It'd be quite interesting. Okay, so our rune is Wunjo, I think it is pronounced. I will just check that in my book because I am terrible with pronunciation. Terrible with English apparently as well. I'm terrible with pronunciations, as some of my foreign friends know, as they try to get me to tell, or not tell, as they try to teach me new words and things. So yeah, I do struggle with pronouncing new words, and these are all dead words as well. So because they're all sort of ancient Norse, so it's pronounced apparently Wunyu. I should have known that because the ancient Norse used to pronounce their J's with U's, or their U's with J's, I should say. Okay, so as a rough translation, Wunyu would be joy, pleasure, and hope. Okay, well, hope rings a little bell for me because it implies that you fear that it's not going to happen. Okay, on a spiritual sense, what this rune would mean would be joy, happiness, harmony, bliss, happy relationships, well-being, and success, which is quite good. Okay, so if we take that into account, we'll take that last one, success. The harvest will be successful, but it would also be bringing joy and happiness, and it will be harmonious and balanced. So it could mean we could have slightly cheaper things from next year's crop, because with the what is wrong with that word? With the harmony and bliss and balance, it could be indicating that we don't actually need to put so much nutrients and fertilizer back into the soils for next year's crops. Happy relations, that would sort of tell me that there is probably, on business senses, so between the farmers and the sellers and the buyers, it's all going to be good. It's all going to be happy. You won't be having sellers holding out for, or a buyer holding out for a cheaper price. They're going to be quite happy to just buy it at the current market price and go with it from there, which again, you might think, well, what's that got to do with us? Well, what's it got to do with us? If there isn't any conflict within the growers and the buyers, then the prices stay stable. Okay, we've all seen egg shortages in the past, and a lot of people and things think this is from avian flu and the like, but the bulk of it is from the supermarkets where refusing to pay the farmers lowest price, okay, which would what the farmers would drop down to. Anything under that price, they were kind of losing money. and the supermarkets were refusing to pay it. So the farmers went, "Oh, okay, that's fine then. If you're not going to be paying that price, we won't be making eggs, so we won't buy the chickens to make the eggs, and so on." And this has a huge knock-on effect, because when chicken farmers buy chickens, and if you're a chicken farmer watching this, feel free to let me know if I'm right or wrong on this. They buy them in as younger birds, and they have to develop into egg-laying birds. This normally takes round about 3 months. So if a supermarket has said, no, we're not paying that price, and the farmer says, fine, I won't be supplying you eggs anymore, and they stop buying the chickens to lay the eggs, yeah, there is a gap of whatever time it is between the farmers actually buying the chickens to start laying eggs again for the supermarkets, plus 3 months. And then obviously once those chickens start laying eggs, they don't start laying in mass. It starts off as a slow trickle and builds up. So you could probably throw another month or so on there. So from a supermarket saying, no, we're not paying your price, to the farmer actually resupplying the supermarket, you probably have about a 5 to 6 month break between egg production. In England's case, what a lot of the supermarkets done was started to import eggs from Italy. Probably not as cheap in the long run, cheap, but it was a cheaper price to buy the eggs. And then they had to put the transport and everything on top of it, and that's probably what made it more expensive. But big supermarkets and people like that don't really look at that. And transport is something they have to do with all their food anyway, so it is kind of like an overhead cost. So let's get on with it. So we know that this year's harvest is going to be successful, okay, with Wunyu out there. Okay, so let's have a look at what this year's harvest is like in a little bit more detail. And I mean the current harvest, okay? So the current harvest is the chariot. It's moving forward. It's ongoing at the moment, which is, yes, it is. Not all the fields have been harvested yet, but some of them have. It's success of a win against the odds. Now, I'm no farmer. I put it out there now, but I do know a little bit about farming. A lot of the harvests depend on the weather, okay? The seeds or grains have to be at a certain moisture content to be good to go through the machines and for storage and things. If they're too wet, they will start to form mildew and then rot. And if they're too dry, I'm not sure, perhaps they start losing starches, sugars and the like. I'm not 100% sure about what happens if they're too dry. Obviously too wet is an obvious one anyone can come up with. If you're trying to store something and it's too wet, it tends to go moldy. Okay, I myself have started my own harvesting from my own garden, and if you are a small local grower yourself, you might be thinking, yeah, well, what are you harvesting from your garden at this time of year? Well, my sprouting broccoli is ready, my onions have been pulled or about to be pulled, but they're not that's not my main crop. My main crop is tobacco. Okay, I've actually started harvesting my tobacco leaves. I've got my first few off yesterday, put them up to hang and dry out. And I actually put a photo of it up on Twitter. So if you want to go and check out my Twitter feed, feel free. But yeah, it's a success against the odds. Now, I know the weather has been challenging in my area for this particular thing. The rapeseed come in a lot later this year than it did generally. Okay, and that was due to the weather. We've been having good weather for growing. It's been hot, it's been sunny, and then we've had rain a few days afterwards, and it's been like that all the time. But when it comes to harvest season, you don't want hot rain, hot rain, hot rain. You want a nice chunk of hot days where the crop isn't going to be getting wet. But then again, there's some crops where you actually want it wet, like for instance grass seed. You want it a little bit wet so it's easier, so you can actually get the seed out of the grass itself. So it's been challenging for them, but it's been success. We know it's successful because of there, and we got success coming out here. It's been successful against the odds. They've been up against it, so you really need to thank your farmers this year for getting in the the harvest they have managed to get in. And that wanted to show itself. Okay, we got the 8 of Cups. Now, I think maybe we might be dealing with just a little bit more than just a harvest here. We may be dealing with farming on a general. Okay. Now, the 8 of Cups is movement. He's walking away from those cups. It's generally seen as walking away from something you don't like, don't need, broken, bad for you, and moving towards something which is better. It looks like he's walking towards a sunrise there. Sunrise normally indicate better times. It's a new day. Yeah, everything what has happened has already happened in the last day and can never be changed. So you're walking onto a new, fresh start. The 8 of Cups could be indicating that a lot of farmers may be turning their back on the trade. Okay, you may think your farmers are rich, and on paper, yes, they are. But when it comes to actually having cash, no, they're not. And it's not because they're tight. Okay, they have lots of land. Okay, because they grow things on it. Now that land has a premium to it. Lots of developers want that land because they want to put houses on it. So that makes a lot of paper richness there. They have the potential of having lots of money, but if they sell their land, then they're selling their business. They can't farm because the land's turned into houses. You can't farm houses. Okay. And for instance, they have a lot of expensive machinery which comes in at millions at a time. You might be worrying about buying your car for, I don't know, 33,000. Yeah, they spend millions on their machinery. They spend millions on their storage systems. They spend millions on their tech. Okay, all this is paper richness. The problem is, yeah, as soon like your car, as soon as you buy your car, it starts to lose money. So do their tractors, so do their harvesters, so does their tech, so does their storage to a certain extent, because you've made yourself a new storage barn, all state-of-the-art, fantastic. Within about 6 months, your state-of-the-art technology in there is now out of date because that's how computing goes. And after about 2 or 3 seasons, your barn is going to start needing repairs here and there. Okay, because after all, they take a lot of heavy weight and heavy machinery. So I feel a lot of farmers may be turning their back on farming after this particular harvest. And again, if you're a farmer, please feel free to drop in your comments and your views on all this if you are watching. The other thing the 8 of Cups is telling me here is this early harvest, this summer harvest, is nearly coming to an end. They're starting to walk away from this. It's whatever may be left in the fields might be, well, we will harvest it anyway and see what we can get for it, but the quality's gone. We've lost that peak moment. So we're walking away from that badness and concentrating on the next lot of harvesting and obviously the next lot of sowing, because for instance, rapeseed, or to get rapeseed, you literally plant straight after you have harvested. It takes nearly a whole year for it to come to ripeness. The Ace of Swords in reverse. The Ace of Swords is like a truthful new beginning. Now, I feel with it in reverse, a lot of this might, well, for instance, a lot of the truth about harvesting and things isn't known to you, the general public. You don't know the problems what go into it, the weather, what they have to tackle and things, the long hours they put in while they're harvesting. Okay, because they need to try to get it all in while the weather is good. So they can't just do like 8 hours of harvesting and then hope that tomorrow's going to be good to do the other 8 hours of harvesting. No, they will go in, they'll do 16, 24. Sometimes they have shifts going in and out. So like the harvester will stop for like 5 minutes while one guy jumps out and the next guy jumps in, and then they carries on going. And so the Ace of Swords in reverse is, to start with, you don't know the start of it. You have no idea, okay, what goes into it all. The other thing is, on a farming type industry, I feel that this is a lot of farmers may be lying to themselves, or maybe not accept or being lied to. Okay. Obviously, not all farmers are generational farmers who have been in it for generations with their fathers and their grandfathers farming. So they don't have this like innate knowledge which they've accrued over the years and years of the family farming. Some of them are new to farming, like Jemmy Clarkson, for example. He decided he was going to buy a farm or take over a farm and run it and everything, and he's on a huge learning curve of his farm. Okay, so perhaps they've been lied to a lot, and perhaps there's just this unsureness. They don't know what the future is holding for them. The 10 of Wands is kind of saying again the burdens are coming to an end. We've nearly finished the harvest season. The 5 of Cups in reverse is also sort of saying that there is a loss and regret. They have probably lost a fair bit of yield. Yield being how much you get out of the land, basically how much you get from your harvest, and they're feeling the loss of that. But the 2 cups are still standing in the 5 of Cups, and this is in reverse. So they're feeling the loss of that, and they're not sure, basically, if the next part of the harvest, if you can imagine that's your main part of your harvest, or your wheats and things, your cereals, then you got your potatoes, your sugar beets, your maize, your other later harvest. They're not sure that it's going to actually pay the bills. Okay, they're not sure they're going to get enough for that, which again brings us back to why a lot of them may be walking away. We got the 7 of Swords in reverse. The 7 of Swords, it can mean lots of things. It can be trickery, it can be theft, it can be all that sort of thing. And there is a lot of theft in farming. Okay, not only do machines get stolen and things, and diesel gets sucked out of the tanks when tractors are left overnight in the farmyards and things. There's also like animal thefts. I'm pretty sure as I was driving to work one day about 2 months ago, I saw someone stealing a piglet from a field of pigs. Okay, people do it. Okay, it's a food source at the end of the day. Some people can see the writing on the wall. They can see that, well, with the war going on in Ukraine, it's going to push prices up, and coming off of COVID, that's pushed prices up. Well, I can't afford to have as much meat as I would like because the prices have gone up so much. But I have got a nice little plot of land somewhere where I can put a pig, and I can fatten that pig up with my waste from my kitchen. Okay, my leftovers and my bits of veg I don't use, the outer leaves of lettuce and cabbage and the things. So they fatten their pig up, and they have a pig for Christmas. You get an amazing amount of meat off a pig. I've bought half a pig in the past. Or actually, I've gone halves with someone on a whole pig. So I've ended up with half a pig of meat, and there is a lot of meat on that keeps you going for a long time. Okay, so that was that. I think we will see what the next part of the harvest will be. So yes, they've nearly pulled in all the wheat and everything, all your early crops, if you want to call them that. And let's see what the later crops are going to do. The potatoes, the beets, your root vegetables, onions, carrots, yeah, all that sort of like. My carrots are, well, they're little this year. Okay, the Page of Cups. Well, the Page of Cups traditionally would be about love and romance, but normally in the book, meaning there is this fantasy element about the Page of Cups. He's a little bit dreamy, a little bit do-la-la. Yeah, his impressions, he's quite naive when it comes to love and romance. So he has these rose-tinted glasses on, and I think that's what this is trying to tell us about the future harvest, the later on in the year harvest. It's being looked at with a little bit of rose-tinted glasses. They're kind of hoping for the best, and hope is attached to this rune as well. But they're kind of fearing the worst, I feel, from the potato harvest. And now, again, if you are a farmer, feel free to drop in your comments. Let me know how you actually feel about your next stage of harvesting and the like. Okay, so we got a Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, we got a 5 of Pentacles in reverse. We got a King of Wands in reverse. I was going to have to see if I can prove to you that my deck isn't upside down. We got a 5 of Wands in reverse, and then we have a 4 of Pentacles in the upright. Okay, so the Knight of Wands is normally a slow but sure energy. It's something what takes its time, builds up, it plans, it makes sure that everything is going to work, and then it enacts its plan and it succeeds. The fact that it's in reverse is telling me that they feel pressure. There is pressure on them to get the harvest up quick this year for some reason. They could be maybe expecting an early winter, or and I say that, and there's a winter card coming out next to it. They could be expecting an early winter, or maybe bad inclement weather during the autumn months when they would be harvesting. The early autumn months, the end of summer, beginning of autumn. Okay, but again, there is that sureness about this. It's like they know they have to pull the potatoes or the beet or whatever it is. They know they have to pull their crop up. That's like the guaranteed side of the Knight of Pentacles. Even in reverse, is it will happen, but they are trying to rush in to get it happen. They're going to be pulling those potatoes or whatever it may be as soon as it's ready to. Yeah, trying to beat the weather. I say the weather because this is the 5 of Pentacles. The 5 of Pentacles, yeah, it could be saying that their fears about how the future crop may go, and not having enough, and with them too, they're not having enough income coming off that crop is unfounded. The 5 of Pentacles is financial hardship. It being in reverse will mean the opposite. It's not going to be a financial hardship, but it is also being left out in the cold. It is a kind of cold, wintry card, and that's in the upright. It would be sort of saying, well, yeah, it's going to be your normal, standard, cold, wintry card, but in reverse, it's kind of saying, well, this could be anything. Okay, the winter's not guaranteed to be what it normally is. The King of Wands in reverse is kind of telling me that as entrepreneurish, it's not happening at the moment. It won't be there won't be any new sort of newfangled technology made to help harvesting or anything like that in this particular harvest period. No one's going to come up with any ideas, because that's all it is. Someone comes up with an idea of how to make things easier, how to make things better, how to make things. No, it is just literally jump in. Don't worry about trying to make this faster or quicker or anything. Just get it up as quick as you can with what we've got. There's going to be no conflicts. There's going to be no issues with the harvest later on in the year, other than that, by the feel of it, their own sort of gut feeling that there's something going to be going bad. There won't be. The harvest will come in good. Now, the 4 of Cups at the end here is a little bit of a disappointment. He's got 3 cups in front of him, yeah, loaded with various different things, but he's thinking of something else. Okay, he's thinking he needs new stuff, and I think that's going to be what it's like at the end of the harvest season. For this harvest, it's going to be, well, I'm thinking I need something more, something better. What I've got isn't quite doing the job. So there could be a little state at the end of the harvest season of farmers buying new equipment, upgrading, and the like. Okay, so I think I will leave it there. I might do one in a couple of months about the planting season. Who knows? It depends how well this one goes. As I said, if you are watching this and you are a farmer, or you are somehow linked with the trade, please feel free to drop in your comments now about how things are going, and please feel free to drop in your comments if you're watching this down the line from now, and you've got the hindsight of how the harvest actually was, and let me know how true I was on the whole thing. I like to get my clarifications from people as well as from the universe. Okay, so I think I'll wrap it up there. I think I've wasted as much of your time as I can on this. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it resonates with you. If it does, that is fantastic. Oh, I would just like to take this moment to let you all know, which I should have really said at the beginning while I had more people actually watching. I have actually started my membership group up for YouTube. If you want to join in and become a member of my channel, feel free. I have literally only been working on it over the last day or so. So from when I've recorded this, obviously you might be watching this in a month's time and it might be all up and running and running beautifully by then. But I've still got a lot of work to do on it. So bear with me with it, okay? You feel free. You can join my membership whenever you want. There's 3 different tiers. You've got a very cheap one, a very expensive one, and one in between. So yeah, it's up to you. I'm not going to pressure you at all. I'm just letting you know it's there. Obviously, my members will get stuff that your general viewers on YouTube won't get. I will be doing special videos just for my members. I will be replying to, or there's a bit on there where you will get priority comments replied to. So if you're a member and you comment on my thing, it will always go to the top of the list no matter when you commented. And I will prioritize your messages on your replies back, although I do try to tackle all the comments as quick as I can. Okay, thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful harvest this year, and I hope you have a wonderful planting season next. And I'll catch you all next time.